Hello, it is Friday, October 23rd, and welcome back to a Nosebleed Perspective. Make sure to follow us, give us a thumbs up, and check us out on Spotify or YouTube for some more sports content. I want to welcome to the show today a couple of guys. A man who is a host of the Brass Tacks and Beers podcast. From everything I hear, he's a great leader of men. Also, another man who I know absolutely nothing about. But he's 6-0 in fantasy this year, so I hear he's a big-time degenerate gambler, a man who is beating Vegas in the spread this year. So I got two Pittsburgh cheaters and Steeler loyalists, Ben and Dallas. How we doing today, boys?
What up,
Doing
dog?
good, man.
Nice. That's good to hear. I'm glad to have you guys on the show.
I love the board this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I haven't really dove too far into it today, but we'll definitely hit on that.
Awesome.
You got a couple locks for us. But we'll go towards that. Definitely got a, kind of a downer tonight, to be honest with you. But hey, Eagles are -4.5. But we'll see how. Whenever this comes out tomorrow, we'll see how we, how we guessed on it. So anyway, obviously you two are from Pittsburgh, so we cannot talk about the Steelers. Sound like you're both Steelers fans. Undefeated on the seasons. How do you feel? Are you surprised? What are your thoughts right now overall first on the Steelers?
Dallas, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised at all, number one. I mean, I love this team going into training camp. Well, what training camp they had with everything going on. But, I mean, the defense all came back. Everybody was healthy until Bush went down this weekend. But Big Ben coming back, everybody was worried about the noodle arm. I wasn't as worried about it. I mean, the guy can still read defenses. Yeah, I was pumped for this season, and I am not surprised one bit by 5-0.
Nice. How about you, Ben?
So let's go. First off, Gibby and Cheech. I'm going straight up.
Okay, I was gonna save it, but go ahead and just. I wish they were here to experience this, but go ahead.
I want to go straight into this. First off, how dare you? That's to Gibby and Cheech right there. Pick the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, just insane.
Pittsburgh Steelers. Am I surprised? No, because on your show I told you not too long after the draft the Steelers would win this division. I'm telling you, they are not a good football team. They are a great football team. Now, I did not expect Roethlisberger to be as effective as he is right now, but that defense is phenomenal, and they are all young. Other than a few people up front, mostly Cam Hayward, but plays a style of football that can play late in his career. I'm telling you, you're seeing the beginning of a long-standing, just nasty, disgusting defense. I'm not surprised at all, and I see them as legitimate contenders now.
Oh, I mean, you did. Absolutely. You came on the show before the season. You called it. I had them. I didn't have them winning the division, but I did have them doing well this year. I was on your side. I was not a Browns guy, so yeah, I totally. Hey, I'm happy for you guys because I did have them in the playoffs. I hope they do well. They look damn good right now. I will tell you that from an outsider perspective. I mean, we saw what they did last year with that defense. We talked about it before in the last show, how good they were in the games they were able to win with old Duck Hodges and Mason Whack-a-Mole Rudolph at quarterback.
Yeah. It was crazy trying to watch Duck lead your team to a win. And, I mean, he's 1-0 against Baker Mayfield.
Hey.
So, I mean, and anybody who is picking the Browns this year to do anything, make any noise, let's see them do it one time, just once. And I think the Browns have a really good team. Their roster is one of the best rosters in the league, just from top to bottom. They got a great roster. But until you get a real quarterback, I mean, you're not winning this division.
No. Well, that and there's the however you want to quantify it, culture. Culture is something that, you always hear these experts throw out there, and it's something that we have been blessed with as Steeler fans, just arguably the best culture in football since the 70s. So it's hard to turn back something like that you can't really put a finger on and, change with a personnel move. They went out, they got all-star talent. They got Jarvis Landry in a trade. They went out, they got OBJ, and they, those guys are friends. And you even see
They're
OBJ.
really good players too.
OBJ is not known as a great leader, but you saw him on the sideline in that game being fiery, trying to rally the troops. So you have guys that are all-stars, that are all pros, and they are pushing the right way. But like Dallas said, if you don't have a quarterback, it's all a moot point. You need a quarterback in this league. If you don't have a quarterback, get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, there have been some average quarterbacks, to get them close to the promised land in history, but I don't think he's. I mean, we saw him play against a good defense, and what are you going to play against in the playoffs? You're going to play these good defenses, especially in the AFC. When you got Tennessee, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, just added Ngakoue or whatever, the dude from the Jags who went to the. How do you feel about that? That's got to be. I mean, I don't know.
It sucks. I mean, the Ravens are just a great run organization. I mean, it's one of those teams, they're your rival. You hate to see them do well, but they always do well. I mean, they're just it's another team with a good culture. And I mean, I respect their coach. I love their quarterback. I mean, I love their roster top to bottom. I just hate that we have to play them twice a year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be like you mentioned, that respect. You have to respect an organization like that. It sucks you are in the same division, but it's not like I feel like I know a couple Browns fans. They look at the Steelers as like a rivalry, but it's kind of like, come on, you just
like a hammer and a nail.
Yeah, but I mean, when you go to play the Ravens, I imagine it's like real rivalry, real respect, real tough, hit you in the mouth football.
Absolutely.
So
the Cleveland Browns rivalry moved to Baltimore with the team.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Browns, they have a pretty favorable schedule coming up. They got the Bengals this weekend. They have the Raiders, the Texans, the Eagles. I mean, the Jaguars. They still got to play the Giants and the Jets. So they got some scrubs coming up. So they're going to have an opportunity to win, I'd say, about 8 or 9 games. An opportunity. But I just don't know about them making the playoffs, to be honest.
I mean, I think Cleveland can probably grab that 7th spot. I mean, there's 7 teams getting in this year from each conference.
Yep.
So I do think they make the playoffs. I just don't see them making any noise. I mean, you seen Baker this weekend against a good defense, and he was making terrible reads across the field. And I mean, the buzz coming into the draft when they picked him was that he was accurate and that he was a smart football player. And I bought into all that. I said, they got a good quarterback now. We might be screwed for a couple years. And you seen the pick 6 he threw to Minkah Fitzpatrick. It was a high school read.
Yeah.
That was a high school level football player read. And he just missed it.
I heard Minkah after the game. He's like, I mean, I just kind of watched him the whole time, watched his eyes, and it was just walk into the end zone.
I guess I'll go. I mean, right.
Yeah. I mean, they're just the Browns. That's really what it comes down to. They're the Browns.
Yeah, you almost feel bad for them at this point, whereas they're the fourth team in the division on all levels, whereas I hate Cincinnati more than I hate Cleveland. Cleveland just hasn't really given you anything to hate.
Right.
I mean, they've become more hateable as a Steeler fan, in the last few years. But, I mean, Cincinnati, we've had more tough battles with them than Cleveland ever, honestly.
Yeah, I feel like there's been somewhat of a rivalry. I'm from Louisville, Kentucky, obviously. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the fans are Bengals fans up there, which, God rest their soul. But yeah, I mean, not me, but
right.
I just feel like there have been some battles up there. The Red Rifle led them, the past X amount of years to, couple, playoff berth. They won that division a couple times. So Browns have not. So
yeah, Cincinnati's had real players, whereas their culture just stinks. They draft well. Marvin Lewis did a good job as a head coach. It's just like Ben said earlier, their culture is just awful. I mean,
terrible. Yeah, because you're right. They drafted really well. They had some studs go through there. You had, Corey Dillon. You had Ocho Cinco. You have AJ Green there right now. Andy Dalton. You have Carson Palmer. Mm-hmm. I mean, you had studs, and I'm a fan of Carson Palmer. I know he got a bad rap and didn't find success until he went to some other places, but Carson Palmer, until Kimo von Oelhoffen took his knee out, was on the cusp of being elite. He was elite.
He was. I mean, he was a big time fantasy guy, fantasy quarterback back in the day. I remember that. He was the top, top guy. Real quick, and I want to hit on two players in particular. First off, defensive side, Devin Bush. You kind of mentioned it, Dallas. He's done for the year, right? ACL.
Yep.
So does that impact that defense in what kind of way, if any?
Go ahead, Ben.
So I'll say this. The Steelers drafted Devin Bush because they had no depth. They had no real all-star talent in the middle of that linebacking core. And, now you're talking about a glaring weakness that is all of a sudden present again. So to say it's not going to impact that defense would be a lie, especially when you have a stud like Derrick Henry coming. The one thing that can kind of offset that a little bit is the fact that Vince Williams, who is a thumper, he's an old school linebacker. He attacks the hole and stuffs people. He's second in the league in tackles for loss, right behind TJ Watt. He's second in the league. You have the number 1 and 2 guys for tackle for losses on the Steelers. So the only thing that offsets a little bit is, we're going to lose a little bit in the middle on those zone plays where Bush is a great coverage guy. But on the run, I'm not sure we're going to lose as much because Devin Bush is kind of an undersized guy for the middle linebacker position. And, it's one of those things that we're going to have to see, especially now you have Tyson Alualu sitting there on the nose tackle spot playing exceptional. I want to say no, but that would be a lie, especially with the running attacks the Steelers are going to face throughout the year.
Yeah, I mean, Devin Bush, the biggest thing we're losing is he's the signal caller on the defense.
Yeah.
He might be the smartest player on our defense. He is incredible. He was calling plays his rookie season.
Yeah.
And when they drafted him, I said, as long as the Steelers trade up in this draft and get one of the Devins, meaning Devin White or Devin Bush. Devin White went, top 5, so it was pretty much impossible. But going up and getting Devin Bush, we got a football player. We finally have a replacement for Shazier, who, his loss was just huge, not only on the city, the locker room, just the football team.
Yeah.
He drop of the defense as soon as he had his career-ending injury.
Yeah, it'd be interesting because, like you said, they play some ground and pound teams. I was watching an interview 2 or 3 days ago, Ike Taylor, and he was talking about, he's a former cornerback, won Super Bowl there or whatever. He was talking about that defense. We didn't care if you threw for 400 yards. If we just wanted to stop the run. We wanted to hit you in the mouth. We wanted to stop the run. If you threw for 400 yards, good on you. Probably didn't happen, but, that's just the mindset up there in Pittsburgh. So interesting.
Yeah, Steeler football is control the line of scrimmage. That's what it is.
Control the line. Take risks in the passing game, control the line of scrimmage, attack the quarterback. And what I'll say is, right now, the Steelers have the best outside linebacking combo in the league.
Yeah.
But on big time with that money he's getting now. And this is the best outside linebacking grouping they've had since they had Lamar Woodley and Joey Porter. So just knowing Steeler football the way I do intimately, just like Dallas, and, what we've seen be successful in a very successful organization that thrives on defense, this has all the makings for a Super Bowl team.
Ooh. Yeah, it's hard to, go against that in any type of way because, we've all seen them play. They look dominant as long as old Tommy John Ben can, stay healthy back there and buy some time for those receivers. Speaking of those receivers, on the offense side of the ball, Ben, before, the last time you came on, me and you kind of discussed our maybe not so much like, but more of a dislike towards Juju. He's sure he's a great guy. You mentioned that too, but after seeing the emergence of Chase Claypool, what he's done the past few weeks, is he just done? He's coming up on a contract year. So I don't know, is this year or next year? I can't remember. But do you think they exercise that 5th-year option in the future, or what are they going to do with this guy?
So they'll give Juju the 5th year. They'll give him your option, but he's priced himself in Pittsburgh. He has. No different than we were talking about in that same podcast, Matt Murray and Tristan Jari. Murray priced himself out of Pittsburgh. That is what Juju did. He had a 100-catch season. He's not doing great this year. You have Chase Claypool, who is electric. Yeah. He's electric with what he does. And we've seen this in Pittsburgh also. We've seen good receivers that we like have to go because you don't have the room, you don't have the money. the Steelers signed a little-known guy named Antonio Brown to let go of an electric Mike Wallace.
That's
So
true. Yeah, he was the guy. Yeah,
we've seen this before. We've
Mhm.
seen this play out, and, I like Juju, but he's not clutch. I like Juju, but he's fumbled away the playoffs 2 years in a row. I like Juju, but he's not a leader of men. And that might have something to do with the fact that he got into the NFL when he was 20 years old.
yeah, he was young.
Really.
That's my opinion on it. But Dallas, I mean, I know you got some stuff about Juju.
I mean, I love Juju. He might be my favorite Pittsburgh Steeler on the team. I think he brings an energy. He brings an energy to the offense, and he's not a diva like Antonio Brown was. I mean, you heard quotes from Ben just last week saying he loves seeing how Juju celebrates when other guys do well.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think they're going to re-sign him. And when you draft receivers as well as the Steelers do, I don't think you should pay any wide receiver, honestly. I mean, you have a track record of even Deontay Johnson. I mean, we have Claypool, who's great, but Deontay Johnson, he's not Antonio Brown, but he's like Antonio Beige. Like, he's a great punt returner. He's great. He's great on special teams. And we got Raven McLeod, who's another special teamer who's
Clemson.
really good. Yeah, and I mean James Washington, who has great moments. I hated the Claypool pick. Just to be honest, when we picked him, I wanted J.K. Dobbins. I said, let's get J.K. Dobbins, and then he ended up going to the Ravens. And I was upset. Now, if the Steelers draft Chase Claypool, I know he's really good. Now, he's really good. I mean, he might be a top 10 receiver in the league in the next 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, you can't dispute that. I mean, and it's crazy to say after what is like 3 weeks he's done damage. But still, I mean, you saw, I think it was week 1. I mean, Ben was just throwing that thing up to him, and he was making some good catches too. So you saw the potential there, and it's just like coming to fruition right now. So, yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. I mean, we'll see if Juju doesn't want to be a diva come contract time. So.
Yeah,
that's what it'll come down to, which I'm sure somebody's going to pay him, though. As long as he can stay relevant, somebody's going to pay him, and you're worth as much as somebody will pay you.
Absolutely.
Yep. Juju might be the next Steeler to end up, unfortunately, on the New York Jets because they're a big market and his social media following.
Don't do that.
It hurts me to say that. I don't want him to do that. But we lost like a guy like Le'Veon to them. We lost Kimo von Oelhoffen to them. We lost Alan Faneca to them. Steelers have this penchant for leaving and going to the New York Jets for some reason. I don't know. Ravens too, actually, now that I think about it. But Juju is a guy that would thrive in a big market, even if he doesn't put numbers up. And that's a guy I want to see be successful. And whether it be football, he's a good person.
Yeah.
I wish him the best outside of the division.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, Baltimore could probably use a good receiver over there.
They just got Dez Bryant.
I mean, they signed him to the practice squad. They want to make sure he's good first. I mean, dudes, I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. But all right. So speaking of the AFC, so going into the playoffs, I think it's pretty clear that the Steelers are going to go to the playoffs. The Ravens are probably going to be there. The AFC East is kind of looking a little weird right now, to be honest. You don't know who's really there's the Patriots, the Bills. Who's the team? Obviously, you got the defending Super Bowl champs and the Chiefs. So we can put them as a contender and somebody who might be a threat. Is there anyone else besides the Chiefs that could possibly be a threat, or you're worried about the most going into the playoffs? Go ahead, Dallas.
Well, honestly, the team I'm not as worried about the Chiefs as I am the Titans. I think the Titans have a great team and a great coach. And I love the Chiefs. I mean, I think Pat Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever seen. But I mean, I think historically we do well against them. Whereas the Titans, it's kind of like looking in the mirror when you play them. They have a very similar style. I mean, and they also have the New England pedigree with Vrabel, who has showed that he is a great coach.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he knows all the Belichick tricks. I do worry about the Titans. I think Tannehill looks like a top 10 quarterback. And I mean, I wrote him off 5 years ago. So I mean,
who didn't?
Shocking, right?
Go ahead, Ben. You have any thoughts?
So for me, it's I agree with Dallas. Actually, I had the Tennessee Titans, but I'm not so much worried about going into the playoffs because, again, being a Steelers fan, we won as a wild card. one time. We're the first team to win as a wild card. Anything can happen when you get in there.
Yep.
So, I mean, at that point, it's throw everything else out. You never know. My concern is the last week of the season, the Pittsburgh Steelers play the Cleveland Browns, and I do not put it past that organization to pull something dirty. And we've seen as Steeler fans, when you have that much vitriol on a inferior culture, sometimes players, Myles Garrett, pull things, injure our players going into key moments. We saw Perfect do it to Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown in consecutive years. Had the Killer Bees offense. So my concern is not so much the playoffs, because once you're in the playoffs, it's any given Sunday. As cheesy as that is to say, cue the Pacino. But it's my concern is that last game against the Browns in Week 17.
Yeah,
and that's fair. I mean, you're lucky the Ndamukong Suh didn't play for the Browns. No calves are safe on that day.
None.
Absolutely.
None.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, because realistically, say the Steelers keep on track, they win that division. It'll be close. I feel like real close. Thanksgiving night, Steelers Ravens. That's going to be that's maybe the best Thanksgiving night matchup I've been alive.
It's going to be a bloodbath. Honestly,
I can't wait. It might break the records for the most viewed thing besides the Super Bowl ever. So
it might.
I mean, that Steeler defense was built to beat the Ravens. I mean, that's honestly, I thought we were going to beat them last year with Mason Rudolph. He got hurt in the second quarter, and you've seen the offense just hit the dirt. Because I mean, they practiced with Mason Rudolph all week, and don't get me started on Mason Rudolph. But yeah, I mean, I think that defense is built to fight the run game. And if the Ravens aren't running it well, they are very vulnerable.
Yep. They are. As much as I love Lamar Jackson, obviously, big Louisville guy.
He's great.
He's
fantastic.
And he's improved. He's improved for sure. But I just don't think that offense even has the weapons for him at that point. I mean, you have Hollywood Brown, obviously. But he's a young guy. He's a small guy. He hasn't proved a terrible amount. He's been hurt. He put on some muscle, but at the same time, are you gonna put your trust in Willie Snead, and are you gonna put your trust in Doyle or Boyle or Nick Boyle, whatever his name is? Obviously, Mark Andrews is a beast. I mean, he is.
It's Mark Andrews or bust for them.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. As much as I like to watch the Ravens, everyone loves to watch the Ravens because of Lamar, but it'd be a fun game to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Well, all right. Okay, we'll keep it in the AFC for one more topic real quick. Miami Dolphins, they replaced Ryan Fitzpatrick with Tua this past week after old Fitz has looked, I'm not going to say great, but he's looked, better than his normal self. Are you surprised by this move at all? He has had about 15 years to prove himself, but he was playing good. They're coming off of – they beat the hell out of the 49ers a couple weeks ago. Granted, that team was dead all around. But, Ben, what are you surprised by this? Was this the right move at the right time? What do you think?
So, and this is purely as a fan. This has no – I'm going to answer as a fan first. The answer is
nosebleed perspective, okay?
As a fan, no, you don't pull Fitzmagic until he has his 7-interception game. Because he's got one – there's one a year where he's just bombs. He's the worst quarterback in the NFL, and he shrugs it off with his beard and his, awesome demeanor because he knows what he is. He's a journeyman quarterback. Yep. He knows that. So that's why he puts up big numbers a lot, because he throws caution to the wind, because he knows he's not the franchise guy. Now, that's as a fan. But in all reality, yeah, you should have put Tua in to start the season, because this is a league where you make it or break it right now. You draft a guy in the first round, you put him in week 1 because you need to know. We see quarterbacks get booted out of town. Josh Rosen, a recent example, was a guy they gave the franchise to, and it was like 1 year, and sorry, buddy, you're out. We got Kyler Murray.
Scumbag.
Yeah, so that's just the way it goes. You should have put him in week 1. But I mean, now they're what, 3-2, 3-3?
3-3, right?
They're already past the point where they're going to get a top 5 draft pick, I think, having 3 wins this early in the season with the New York Jets
2 first-round picks this year because they have Houston's first-round pick.
Yeah, so why not just go out there, let the kid have fun and win, and set a tone for next year when with these first-round draft picks and one more year under the belt, you might make some noise in a brand new division that's wide open, even though I think the Bills have the inside lane on that division right now.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Hey, his first week, sorry, real quick, his first week, he faces Aaron Donald and the boys. So,
ouch.
A little tough matchup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jalen Ramsey on the other side. That's going to be a tough matchup for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you got to go with Tua eventually. I mean, like Ben said, you want to see Fitzmagic tank before you take him out. But, I mean, you drafted Tua to play, and you're playing with house money at this point. You have a better team than you thought you did originally. I think they have a great coach. I think he might be the best newer hire in maybe the last 5 years. I mean, he is a great coach, and he's changing that culture draft by draft, game by game. I like Tua. And, I mean, you think it was tank for Tua was all the craze last year, and then Joe Burrow had the best college season of all time.
Yep.
So, I mean, Tua has something. You want to make sure he's healthy. If he's healthy to go, you let him go.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it was just an interesting move. Coming up the bye week. I don't know if that was a goal in mind for them originally. Maybe get Fitz, take us to the bye week. We'll throw Tua in. We saw him come in, do a little rollout in the back of the end zone, threw I think 2 passes. So we'll see. I'm interested. I mean that Miami LA Rams game I'm going to be watching obviously, but people will be watching that because it's a big the Rams defense is pretty good. We have a pretty good secondary obviously, and I think one of the best defensive lines, but so it'll be interesting to see regardless. So.
But when you have Aaron Donald, it doesn't matter who's with him. You're going to have one of the best D-line.
Yep, you're gonna have a guy who's being double teamed every time, so it's gonna open up for these professional. This is what they do. They're professional football players. So
When he was in that draft with because we had him at Pitt and we knew how good he was. When he fell to 10 in the draft, I was shocked. I thought he was a top 5 player, and it showed to be true. He should have been the number 1 overall pick. I don't know who was drafted that year, but that's who I'm taking.
Well, hindsight's 2020.
Sure is. 2020. Yeah.
All right. Well, so UFC 254 is this weekend. Kind of pivot towards that. I'm not, the biggest fight guy. I kind of dabble here and there, but I was just wondering. Big fight card. It sounds like, it looks like, at least from what I know. I'm not going to act like I know too much, but that's why I have you guys on the show here. Let the people know where they should be putting their money this weekend. Give me your thoughts on, fights you're interested in particular, or just the main card in general, whatever you think. Go ahead and you all take it from here if you want to start, Ben, and go ahead.
First off, I cannot wait for this fight card. I cannot explain in words how exciting this fight card is. It makes me feel things I have not felt since I was in the back seat of my Buick Century with my high school girlfriend. That's how I feel about this fight card. It is, climax.
Yeah.
The best. Like, it's just everything about this card just screams fireworks. That's everything about it. So I'm only going to touch the top 3 fights on the card, though, even though there's good fights all throughout. The first one, let's look at, I have some notes here to the left, so if you see my eyes, that's why.
Go for it.
Alexander Volkov and Walt Harris, 2 electric heavyweights, but they're both coming off losses. Usually when guys come off losses in that heavyweight division, they come out very aggressive. And you have arguably the best story in MMA in Walt Harris, who lost his daughter, who was abducted, got KO'd by Alistair Overeem in his return fight. I just see him coming out with so much emotion and something to prove against a guy who is younger, bigger, longer, but did just lose to a similar built guy in Curtis Blades, similar built in terms of being close to Walt Harris. And Volkov, despite the fact that he is younger, faster, stronger, he got taken to a decision by Greg Hardy, who is brand new in MMA. He's brand
for the Cowboys.
Played for the Cowboys, has some history of his own. Not a guy, even in the MMA community. But everything about that fight screams fireworks. And I see Walt Harris winning by KO with a very emotional post-fight speech.
Waterworks. What about you,
Yeah.
Dallas?
Everything.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one fight I'm focused on is Gaethje and Khabib. I mean, is there anybody on earth more hateable than Khabib?
No.
I mean, he really is. And I don't think it's anything personal. He's probably a nice enough guy, but he just has the most hateable face you've ever seen on a fighter. So, I mean, I'm going to put my money against him just because of that. And the odds are better for Gaethje. I'm not as well versed in Gaethje. I've only seen him fight twice. And, I mean, he was electric both times. So, I mean, I think I'm definitely going to put my money on Gaethje. I don't know what. I might put money on him to win. And I think I'm also going to put money on him to finish Khabib. I think it's a rest versus rust situation. Now, I don't know if Khabib is rested or if he is rusty. Now, and we're not going to know till round 1 after the bell.
Yeah. So with that fight, and I know you're going to we were talking about this the other day. Mm-hmm. I highly advise nobody to touch this fight at the sports books. Nobody. Do not put money on this fight because Khabib should win. He is arguably the most dominant grappler to ever go in the octagon, and that's saying something. He holds the record for most takedowns in a fight. He dismantles people. Everybody knows what's coming, but they can't stop it. He is a walking buzzsaw. You can't stop it. You can't stop it, and you focus on it so much. Look at what happened to Conor McGregor, who's arguably the best striker in that division. He's a very precise striker, focuses on it so much, fought in a couple closely contended rounds with one of the greatest boxers of all time. That's how high level of a striker he is. And Khabib caught him with an overhand, an ugly overhand, because he was so focused on the grappling that he knew was coming. So the other side of that, Khabib should win this fight by submission. He should, because he's beaten Dustin Poirier, a very legitimate black belt, good striker, by submission in the 4th round. He beat Conor McGregor, a guy that he wore down and embarrassed first and then submitted him. Justin Gaethje is a phenomenal wrestler. He is a phenomenal striker, shown by the fact that he just dismantled Tony Ferguson, who people thought was not able to be outclassed on his feet because of how odd his style is. So here's my X factor to it. Justin Gaethje is a man that lives without fear. Mm-hmm. Man that lives without fear and does not fear Khabib Nurmagomedov. He does not fear him in the slightest. He respects him, but he's going to respect him enough to charge across that octagon and try to hurt him. He's going to try to unleash massive amounts of precisely applied violence and hurt this man. He is a very live dog. He's a very live dog. But if you're putting money against Khabib, you're crazy, because he is a buzzsaw. This is the unstoppable object versus the immovable object. Like, it's just, that's what this is. Yeah. It is so unique. It is so unique in the fact that this fight is, it's just electric. Everything about it. Me, as a guy that has been watching MMA for so long and studied mixed martial arts and trained mixed martial arts, I look at this fight and I have no idea who's going to win. It should be Khabib. It should be. But Gaethje is such a live dog. If I
got 2 losses? You got 2 losses, right?
They were both in the UFC. They were both flash KOs. And it's because he's a man that lives without fear. He was going in there and banging. That's what he was doing.
I like that. I'm betting on that, dude, all day.
If you are going to absolutely put money on this fight, if you are going to, no matter what, Gaethje by KO.
Ooh, I like that. I'll get you.
You're saying that reward is bigger, that risk is bigger than.
Yeah. I mean, well, like Dallas was saying, the lines on Khabib, they're crazy because he's so dominant. I mean,
he's minus 315 right now. It's
you can take Khabib by submission, but you're still not making out that well.
That's all the even odds.
Yeah, if you're going to look for a viable outcome that will pay, Gaethje by KO, and he's a man that can do it because he took Tony Ferguson and rearranged his face. He shortened that man's career. He shortened that man's life on this earth.
It was sad to watch almost. I mean,
It really was. It
yeah.
really was.
Ferguson was the guy. This is Ferguson's fight. I mean, he campaigned for it. He
Yeah.
wanted it in the worst way, and Gaethje took it from him, right from
Yeah.
his hand.
Right
Yeah, I
from
mean, if you wanted to bet on Gaethje by KO, it's plus 375 right now. So, I mean, if you want to throw 20 on it, it's not a terrible bet.
Hell no,
Yeah.
especially the way you guys are talking. I mean, you're educating me. So,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, you heard it here on a Nosebleed Perspective. Hammer it. Gaethje.
Hammer, fire away.
We do. There's one more fight on this card we got to talk about.
All right, go ahead.
There's Robert Whittaker, the former 185-pound champ, against Jared Cannonier. Now, this is the it's not billed as a co-main event, but it's going to be right before the main, and it's the Robert Whittaker is a guy that Israel Adesanya, he took his belt. He's reigning at 185 right now. I love this fight for what it represents. You have Jared Cannonier, who's a big, hulking 185. He fought at 205 for a long time and didn't just fight low-end 205ers and leave. He was fighting killers. He fought Dominic Reyes, who was in a title challenger against John Jones. He fought Glover Teixeira, who was a title challenger against John Jones. Those are his losses. He's not losing against tomato cans at 205. And then he came down and he knocked Anderson Silva out. Granted, not his former self, knocked him out in the first round. So Robert Whittaker, yeah, he just lost to Israel Adesanya, but he's coming back up. This is a fight that I think Whittaker wins in a dominant decision. So if you're going to bet on one fight on this card, Whittaker by decision over Jared Cannonier.
I like it. I like it a lot. Hopefully all these things happen. I'll clip it, put it up. Told you so.
Well, last time I came on here and talked about a fight card,
hey,
I got most of them right.
Yeah, you did. We were talking about it, yeah.
I think I only missed on one. And that main event that got changed. It got changed after we've recorded.
Yep. Well, hey, if you all have any final thoughts on that, Dallas, you have anything else to add on to wrap up the UFC card?
Fire on Gaethje. Gaethje by KO. I'm putting a mortgage payment on it.
Oh, shit. All right.
That's a bold, Cotton. That's a bold move.
Very bold move. All right, let's turn back to the NFL a little bit. Okay. All right, so give me your thoughts real quick. What are your thoughts? What has been the biggest surprise? What team, player, whatever you want to talk about? The biggest surprise this year, this season, and give me your biggest surprise and disappointment so far through, what are we at, 6 weeks? So almost to the halfway mark, almost to the trade deadline. What are your thoughts? Dallas, go ahead.
Well, my biggest disappointment right now, and look, I hate the New England Patriots, but I stand Cam Newton. Cam Newton is my guy. And I mean, he battled COVID. I thought he was going to go to New England. The culture was going to swallow him up, and he was going to have an MVP run. I didn't think he'd win MVP, but I picked them to win the division. And Buffalo, even though they're reeling right now, New England looks like they're in pretty bad shape. So that one surprised me. That one was a disappointment.
Yeah. So for me, my biggest disappointment is the Minnesota Vikings. They were 6 last year. They're 1-5 right now. They made it to the divisional round in the playoffs. They went out, they traded for Yannick Ngakoue, and they just traded him away. They gave up. That was a give-up move for this season. So they're a team that has been a little above average for the last couple years. And you expected them to either take that turn and be contenders or the turn to fall into the pit of this NFL. Right now, basically, them trading Ngakoue tells me they're done with Kirk Cousins. They're done with that team. They're going to blow it up. So it's been a disappointment for me so far because I was high on the Vikings picking up a good pass rusher in the offseason.
I was too. I had them winning that division.
Yeah, mm-hmm. I thought they could be NFC championship game material. I thought they were right around there, hovering around there, picking up a solid pass rusher. So they're my biggest disappointment.
And that falls on Mike Zimmer mostly, you got to think, right? Yeah. I mean, they need a coaching change. I mean, at some point, you have to point to the coach. So, I mean, the team just looks unprepared every time they step on the football field.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and they don't trust Kirk Cousins. I mean, we see games where he in the first half he'll throw for 4 or 5 fucking passes, and you're
Yeah.
like, what are you doing? So there's something going on there for sure. I mean, 1-5. I mean, people were high on this team for sure, like you
Yeah,
said.
I was one of them.
Yeah, me too. Hey, sports show, and I was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, biggest surprise for me, I mean, it has to be the Chicago Bears, right? I thought the Chicago Bears were dead in the water.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't think they had any chance. I thought they were a 5-win team this year. So then they benched Trubisky, and now you got BDN, Nick Foles rolling through and just doing what he does. I mean, I am very surprised. And as a Steeler fan, you kind of have a kinship with the Bears because there's a lot of similarities there. I mean, we love watching defense. We don't care who our quarterback is. We're just ready to go out and we want to hit you in the mouth. So I always respected the Bears, and I'm happy to see them 5-1 right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm growing up, we're from Pittsburgh, so is Mike Ditka. So, he's a guy that do well in Chicago. Dick, I'm a huge fan of. I mean, just everything about the way he handled football in general. Yeah, the Chicago Bears, definitely a good surprise. My surprise isn't really a positive surprise, though. It's how bad the NFC East is. How bad that division is.
Yeah, I mean, because we knew it was going to be bad, but we didn't know it was going to be
Not
this bad.
The
So,
NFC
Eagles,
again.
I thought the Cowboys were going to be a winning record team, but I mean, they've been so bad. Washington's so bad they lost their damn name. I mean, they are far and away the worst division in football, and they are the worst division I've seen. In years.
Yeah, I mean,
years. There is no decent team in there.
No.
I think a 5 or 6 win team is going to host a home playoff game this year.
It's insane. I mean, what are we doing here?
I don't know. It's tough. And they came out and said they probably won't – I think it's for sure now. They won't have a team name. They're going to stick with the football team going into next year as well. So that's a tough look. I mean, just like – I know it's something that has nothing to do with on-the-field performance, but, like, what kind of message is that sending? Like, I don't know. I mean, you got Riverboat Ron up there. They tried to win the game last week.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Dwayne Haskins has a decent game, and then they just pull him. And it looks like he's done. I mean,
well,
trade him to Pittsburgh. We'll take him.
I'm not a huge Dwayne Haskins fan, but I thought he was better than how he got treated in the last couple weeks.
Absolutely.
I mean, and they're saying it's a preparation thing from what I've read, that he's not, I guess, reading or understanding the playbook. But I mean, come on. I mean, let the kid play.
You hire somebody to put a first-round draft pick into this guy. You hire somebody to make him better. That's what you do. Your obligation when you invest a first-round draft pick in a quarterback, you surround him with everything he needs. Weapons, security, people on the field and off the field. You surround him with everything he needs to succeed. And Dan Snyder's just a scumbag who's not going to do that. He is the worst owner in the NFL, far and away, to the point where, rebranding as the Washington football team, he doesn't care because he's still making money.
Yeah.
He does not care about it at all. And honestly, they shouldn't even get a real team name until they can go 8-8.
Well, I feel an obligation here because here on the Nosebleeds, we fucking hate Dwayne Haskins. We are not about him. We tear him apart every chance and opportunity we have. The dude's a bum, taking selfies in the back of the end zone whenever he's supposed to be kneeling down on 4th down to end the game. He sucks.
It's fair.
We called it. The red potatoes are garbage, and that's all I got to say about Dwayne.
Hey, put that one on the scoreboard. You guys called it.
We called it. I don't know. We pretty aggressively too. So,
and look, I don't think Dwayne Haskins is good, but is he better than Kyle Allen? I mean,
I don't think so.
But to be fair, it's close. You're playing for draft picks at this point. If you're Washington, I mean, you have a chance at Trevor Lawrence. Just lose. Put in Dwayne Haskins. I mean, who cares? You wasted the pick on him. At least if he goes out and he has 3 good games, then you have a chance of trading him for maybe a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Now he's worthless. You got to cut him. You might get a 7th round pick for him, but
I just think it's Ron Rivera. He came over there and that was his guy down in Carolina last year. Before he was let go or whatever. But I just think that has something to do. He likes him for some reason or another. I don't think Kyle Allen is he's not the answer, obviously, but He didn't do terrible, and okay, he's not a good quarterback, but he did not do awful in Carolina like everyone expected him to.
Right.
He went last year and went up in the snow up at Lambeau Field versus Green Bay. Took him like 90 fucking yards, went all the way to the 2-yard line, and had a chance to win that game. When that's just so. I think Riverboat Ron sees something in him. We'll see how it plays out, but
as
fuck
long as
Dwayne
the
Haskins.
Cowboys keep losing terribly, I'm happy. I hate the Cowboys. Anytime they fail, I am happy.
I haven't gotten over 1995 yet.
I was gonna say. It's just almost like you're wanting these NFC East teams to lose regardless, just so we can see history, so we can see how So
how bad can it get? Well, first off, I hate the Eagles. Dan Snyder scumbag. I hate the Cowboys. Like everybody tank, and then there's the Giants. Get out of here. The football Giants. They're so trash. Just as an organization. Eli and his big dumb face somehow found enough talent off of Peyton Manning's jockstrap to win 2 Super Bowls up there.
Right.
And they went in an 8-8 too. I think wild card team won that Super Bowl. One of them at least.
And let's be real, the pass rush won them those Super Bowls.
For sure.
David Tyree.
Yeah, and
the helmet.
Luke plays.
Luke
plays and dominant defense. That's what won them Super Bowls, not Eli Manning.
Yeah, we saw his career unfold at the end there. So, all right, where are we at here? So Dallas.
Yes, sir.
I don't know you too well. I like to think of myself as a avid fantasy football player. I've mentioned it before. My first fantasy quarterback wide receiver duo was Rich Gannon and Tim Brown for the Raiders. I've been playing since like 2004 or something. I used to go to drafts with my dad, pick players for him as like a 10-year-old kid. So I've been playing for a while. Dial up to Dell, the gateway, set your lineup. So you start a season this year in a league that we kind of joined, me and Gibby, my counterpart here on Nosebleeds Perspective. And you're 6-0 to start the fantasy season. Yeah. Do you have any strategy that you went with during the draft? Any technique that you've stuck with during the season? Or has it all just been absolute dumb luck? Those who are listening up and is holding up a sign that says luck.
Well, as you know, fantasy football is 90% luck. So I haven't gotten hurt by injuries this year. I've benched Joe Mixon at the right times. Ronald Jones, sticking with him. And I love Calvin Ridley. I said at the beginning of the season, I think Calvin Ridley is one of the best receivers in the league. I was able to get him in the 4th round. Yep. When I drafted Russell Wilson, I had the choice between Russ, Dak, and Kyler. And I was like, well, the 2 big guys are off the board in Lamar and Pat. So I'm going to ride with Russ. Let him cook. Mr. Unlimited. Let Russ cook. And look, being a fan of my fantasy teams is like being an Atlanta sports fan. We always start good. We always do well. But you just wait for the collapse. It's coming. They'll implode at any minute.
So I will give Dallas credit. Dallas has been drafting Calvin Ridley for the last 3 years, waiting for the breakout. And I'll give him credit in a couple other places too. He's called some really key players being phenomenal. Like he called Pat Mahomes when he got drafted and said that he's going to be great. He's going to be not good, not a starter. He's going to be great.
I said he was the best quarterback in that draft. And you've seen something special in him. I've never seen a quarterback that played like that. And, all his draft grades were, he's a little bit of a gunslinger and all that. But you just watch the tape. The guy was electric. He was awesome in college. And then the year he got the start over Alex Smith, they finally got rid of him. I drafted him with the last pick in the draft.
Hey, me too. I was going to piggyback off that. I was like, I asked Gibby. He's a big Chiefs fan. I was like, what do you think about this guy before the draft? He's like, big risk, big reward. I was like, fuck it. That's good enough for me. I don't draft quarterbacks. I give 2 shits about quarterbacks. So I was like, you know what? Patrick Mahomes, my quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Did well.
Yeah, I was able to draft. I drafted Cam Newton. I forget which round. But I drafted Cam, and I was able to trade him week 2 because you could see already that Pat Mahomes was going to beat. And I was telling Ben, I said, this guy is the GOAT. I said, I've never seen a player I mean, you see Aaron Rodgers, who's very talented. He's like a mix between Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. If those two could be one quarterback, that's who he is. I mean, he just learned how to read defenses. The guy's incredible.
Yeah, he's ridiculously good.
Yeah, he's my favorite non-Steeler in the league. I mean, just because I was so right on him in the draft.
I like watching him scramble. He's the slowest, most efficient scrambler in the NFL history. Watching him scramble around is like, you're like, oh shit, he's dead for 5 yards. Oh shit, this dude's slow as fuck. Oh shit, he's gonna get hurt. What is he doing? 15-yard carry. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, but with my team, I'm really good at fantasy football. I know people like to say that. I'm good at it. I know what I'm doing. Last year, I had Pat Mahomes, I had Christian McCaffrey, Michael Thomas, Chris Godwin. My team was stacked.
Hold on.
I made it to the –
You had Christian McCaffrey and Michael Thomas?
Christian McCaffrey with my first-round pick. I think I drafted at 4. And I got Christian McCaffrey, and Michael Thomas fell in the second round. It was shocking.
Been playing with some bums. Christian McCaffrey at 4? Come on now. Come on, guys.
I got to the semifinals last year. And with the greatest team ever assembled in fantasy sports, it looked like a DraftKings lineup. DraftKings wouldn't let you have a lineup that good. And I lost in the semifinals by 3 points, and I retired. I said, I'm done. I was the commissioner of that league for about 6 years, and I said, I'm done. I quit. I'll never do it again. And so Ben said, well, I'll run the league this year. And I got sucked back in, and now I'm 6-0. Suck it.
Hey, fair enough.
And I'm here. My team's just been plagued by injuries this year. I got Michael Thomas. I traded for Nick Chubb. He got injured right after that. So I'm in one of those weird spots where I got hit by injuries early, and maybe I make a late run.
Yeah,
but
I'm dead in that league. I have Dalvin Cook, Austin Eckler, and Raheem Mostert, which was the best running back trio you could all obviously ever want, really. And they're all dead. So
yeah, it's over.
Yeah. Well, all right. It's enough fantasy talk, I suppose. So you kind of called, Dallas. You mentioned calling Patrick Mahomes. Is there anyone else in college football right now? Do you have any college prospects that we may or may not have heard of who you think right now could be a superstar in the league going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously everybody knows Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be great. I mean, he's the most can't-miss guy I've ever seen, even more so than Andrew Luck. I think Justin Fields is going to be really good. I think Trey Lance will be pretty good. Some mock drafts have Trey Lance going ahead of Justin Fields, which I found surprising. I think a lot of that is because the Big Ten just isn't playing right now. I mean, they start up this weekend. But, I mean, he's very well-known prospect. Penn State, Micah Parsons, linebacker. I think this guy is going to be a freak. I think he is Devin White 2.0. I think he might be better than Devin White. I think this guy is going to be a all-pro stud. I mean, honestly. And then, I mean, you have Kyle Pitts, tight end for Florida. The guy is just tearing apart the SEC. He's going up against the best defenses in the country, and he's just shredding them. So whoever ends up landing on him, I'd like to see him go to Miami because they might have 2 top 10 picks. You give Tua a guy like Kyle Pitts just over the middle, you're going to have a guy all day long open.
All right. What was the Penn State guy? Parsons, you said?
Yeah, Parsons.
All right. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Nosebleed perspective.
Yeah,
leading tackler in NFL history.
Yep. You heard it here. And also Patrick Jones II out of Pitt, edge rusher. The guy's a stud. Pitt
Hey,
also has a
don't.
What's that, Ben?
Yeah, don't sleep on the University of Pittsburgh, even though the University of Pittsburgh, even though I'm not a fan, they put out just not studs, amazing all-star, all-pros. Darrelle Revis, Tony Dorsett, Kirk Martin. You got guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Aaron Donald. I mean,
LaShawn
McCoy. The list goes on. I mean, James Conner, who's a decent, guy out there right now. It's
Dan Marino.
Yeah, there's that. But they put out phenomenal for not being really a football school, phenomenal football talent.
Right.
Our Louisville Cardinals just took a loss to them a few weeks ago.
We did with NFL players what we could never do with our NCAA team, our basketball team. We never got the big NBA prospect. which is why you always seen our team, even when they were number 1 ranked, when Pitt had those great basketball teams, there was never one star player. But in football, as bad as they are, they find really good players.
They do.
And that's a good point. Yeah, you look back at some of those players we just listed off too. I mean, so we'll see who comes out of there this year. All right, let's circle back to your Pittsburgh Steelers in a different kind of lens here. So Antonio Brown is my Pittsburgh impression there. He's looking to make a return. There's been some teams allegedly, one of them being the Seahawks. As Steeler loyalist, do you think he has any production, any kind of impact on this league going forward? And if anywhere, where? Or will his, off the field dramatics follow him to the same place we all have seen and know?
Would you like to take that one, Ben?
I absolutely would like to take that one. First off, wherever Antonio Brown, a.k.a. Mr. Big Chest, goes, he is going to be electric. He is still, even with that time off, he's a top 5 receiver in the NFL. The man is an alpha amongst alpha. That's what causes problems. You get guys like that. Terrell Owens was the same way, an alpha amongst alphas. So when you have a guy like that go somewhere, anywhere, if you don't have strong personalities to keep him in check, I mean, look at the job Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger did for years, keeping that under wraps. A guy like Russell Wilson, who's now established in this league and is a legitimate superstar, a Super Bowl winning quarterback. A guy like Pete Carroll, who's one of the most experienced coaches in the world, college or pro level. That is a place he could thrive. And if you get DK Metcalf single coverage, because people now have to respect Antonio Brown and that diversity and complexity of his game and how he adjusts and how he hits routes, coupled with how he's going to get the ball delivered to him from Russell Wilson, you just may see an unstoppable offense. That's my.
I hope he does not go to the Seahawks. I can't handle that.
Somebody who owns Russell Wilson in fantasy, I hope he goes to Seattle. I mean, I think that would be great for me. And I know Gibby, your pod co-host, he's the waiver wizard. He grabbed him 5 minutes before I got a notification. I was like,
I tried to grab him. I wanted to grab him. I looked at the waiver wire. He was available as soon as I got the notification, and I was like, oh, but I already have to drop 2 people because I'm like that. I'm just like a desperate mode right now. So I have to drop 2 people, and I was like, I cannot afford to take a chance on Antonio, even though obviously if he comes and plays, he's going to get 14, 15 points a game. But
No, I mean, if you're Seattle and you have their culture, you can afford to bring in Antonio Brown. It's the same way I feel about the Chiefs bringing on Le'Veon Bell, even though I never felt nearly as bad about having Le'Veon as I do about AB, just because of the way it ended. I mean, Antonio Brown quit on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He did.
Le'Veon Bell wanted to get paid. They're 2 different things. Antonio Brown was making a lot of money here, and Le'Veon Bell was like, I want real money. And I mean, it didn't exactly pan out for him, but he got paid $28 million for 18 games with the Jets. Yeah. So, I mean, tough. I don't feel as bad about that, but Antonio Brown is a game-changing wide receiver. The guy is honestly the most talented wide receiver I've ever seen, honestly. I mean, Calvin Johnson was great, but he was great at a few things. Antonio Brown can do it on every level of the field.
Yeah, if Antonio Brown was 6'2", with the skill set he has, get out of here.
Yeah,
he'd put yards every season. The only thing holding him back is that he's 5'10",
and that he's Antonio Brown. Honestly.
Well, because he is, he can get away with a lot with that talent level. It just shows you how much you got to know yourself. He's actually kind of pushed that bill a little bit, obviously. But yeah, I mean, so you mentioned Le'Veon Bell going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Quick thoughts on that situation. What do you think that pans out for them or him, or what do you think?
I love that move if you're the Chiefs. I mean, you have a rookie running back who is good. I think CEH is a good running back, but I mean, now you can bring in somebody. If he's washed, it's not going to hurt you. It's all reward, no risk if you're the Chiefs. You're not paying him much. I mean, if he's good, he's going to be great in that offense. I mean, number one, he's a better pass blocker than CEH. So if he can do the chip and then hit the flat, he can catch the ball too. He lined up at receiver a lot in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm hoping he stays in the slot or something, like, because as a owner of CEH in 2 leagues right here, that one hurt a little bit.
It's a bummer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great move by them. And if you're Andy Reid, I mean, you can do a lot with Le'Veon Bell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Le'Veon Bell is a guy that if he ends up being half of what he was in Pittsburgh, the Chiefs they're adding a whole different level to their game.
A problem.
A problem. And he's an older running back. You have CEH, who's a rookie. You can give Le'Veon Bell a bunch of carries and run him into the ground because running backs don't last long. So preserve the first rounder. Take this guy who has proven himself in the league that can be productive. The problem is he's just not clutch. Le'Veon Bell's not clutch. The killer bees, that offense that did so great for Pittsburgh, that was my only problem with them, is they were not clutch.
But do you need clutch out of a running back? I don't think you do. I think you just need him to do his job. Not when
you got Patrick Mahomes handing you the ball and throwing you some dump down screens or whatever the case may be. I don't think it's I mean, that's a good point. Yeah. And in that situation, you do not need to be anything close to clutch. Don't fumble the football. You're good to go.
And when you look at around him, it's just, man, that could be a nasty addition to that offense.
Yeah, my dream scenario this year, Pittsburgh Steelers, Kansas City Chiefs, AFC Championship. We beat Le'Veon. Pittsburgh Steelers, Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl against Antonio Brown, and we shut it down.
Or we can have a Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell Super Bowl.
Oh, God.
I bet that would kill you all.
It would. It would hurt. It would hurt. It would hurt.
I'd rather see the Browns win.
Yeah. I'd rather see that than the Ravens, but I would rather the Browns win it before that.
Oh, all right. Well, I just wanted to get your all's thoughts as Steeler fans with those two guys who are, obviously been some of the most talented people in the league over the past 5-6 years. So,
great football players, shitty human beings.
Well,
go check out Le'Veon Bell's rap record. Juice. He kills.
I know. That's why I thought he was going to go to Miami because he just loves to party down there.
I figured Miami would have been a great spot for him just because he's going to get carries, and they were offering him more money. Yep. Now it turns out he wants to win, and that's good if you're the Chiefs.
Well, it's because he's seen culture now. He went to the Jets and saw what it's like to be part of a really bad culture after being in Pittsburgh. I'd want to leave too. I'd want to go to Kansas City too.
Yeah, I mean, he already got the guaranteed money that he wanted in the first couple of years. So, all right. So this week, week 7, do you all have any games you're particularly looking forward to? We'll hit your locks here in a minute, but any games just head to head, straight up, you're excited for week 7, playoff implications, whatever the case may be. Dallas, you look like you're just humming right now to say something. So go ahead.
My game of the week right now, not betting wise, but my game of the week to watch is Arizona and Seattle. They just flexed it to Sunday night, which I thought was I thought that the Steelers-Tennessee game was going to get flexed to the late afternoon. And instead they flexed the Raiders back and moved Seattle and Arizona to the Sunday night game. I think that is going to be awesome. I want to see what Kyler Murray can do against a subpar Seattle defense. And I just want to see – I just love watching Russell Wilson. And it's a division game. Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Go ahead, Ben. You got a game? I'll hit on both of these here in a minute. I got thoughts for days.
The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Tennessee Titans. How can you not want to watch that game?
Yeah, for sure.
Defense against Derrick Henry. He ain't stiff-armed T.J. Watt the way he did Josh Norman. Joe take his knees out. Derrick Henry is a great running back. I want to see if Ryan Tannehill can withstand the pressure that defense applies, or if once we stop Derrick Henry, can Tannehill carry a team? Because this could expose the Tennessee Titans. If you stop Henry, if you sell out, and that's what the Steelers have done traditionally, sell out and make a quarterback beat you. Don't give him opportunities and things to beat you with. Make him beat you strictly off how he plays. Mm-hmm. Yep. And you guys that have been able to do it, Tom Brady made a career out of doing it. Beat the brakes up for years. I hate that man as much as I think he's the GOAT. He made a career out of beating Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Yeah. In the AFC Championship game. Did it a couple times and hung 40-50 on him a couple times.
What a son of a
So, hate him.
So the Tennessee game will be –
Ryan Tannehill's not that guy. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill, I don't see him as being that guy. I think he's covered up by a very good coach, a very good culture, and a outstanding, probably the best running back in the NFL.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, Henry is a men against little boys, not just boys out there. So I'm interested to see that game too. You mentioned the Titans. They are missing. So that they traded away their right tackle or got signed away in free agency, I forget, at the beginning of the season. And Taylor Lewan, their left tackle, is out. So
for the season.
that does not help Tannehill's case at all going forward. Granted, he did just get the bag, so I don't think he's worried about it a terrible amount. But this is a big game. 2 undefeated teams, right? Yeah. So that's a huge game, especially for playoff. Only one team gets the bye this year, so I feel like these teams are they're not a 5-0 matchup or 4-0 whatever they are. Even going into say it was later in the season, people will be like, we can afford a loss. We're going to win our division. We're going to get the 2 seed. We're going to get a bye. We're going to get a home field game, whatever the case may be. I think these players are going to take it a little more serious this year. So, and Pittsburgh's definitely got something to prove. So the Titans do too. I feel like people still don't believe in the Titans. So.
Well, look, I got my comeuppance when Tennessee and Buffalo played. I said, I think Tennessee is the fraud team in the league this year. And so I fired 3 units on Buffalo. And then Buffalo came out flat. And then I said, oh, Buffalo's the fraud team, obviously. Of course, Buffalo's the fraud team when I fire on them.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee is a really good team. And they ran from us in week 4. They went and got COVID. So they were scared to play.
That's what happened.
Now they're about to get their comeuppance.
Listen, if I had to choose between facing TJ Watt and getting COVID, I'm taking it every of the week.
Taking COVID straight to the face.
Statistically, you're better off with COVID.
Yeah, you have a better chance. But I will say this. What's the survival rate of COVID? Like 99 point something?
Man, it's pretty high.
I can't remember exactly what it is. COVID-19 with that low, right? That number 19 is still more clutch than Juju Smith-Schuster number 19. Still more clutch.
How dare you?
Jesus.
How dare you?
Oh, that was good.
That's how I Juju.
So, anyway,
sorry.
You mentioned the Cardinals and Seattle game. That's funny. You said Seattle with their subpar defense. I would go a step further and say they are a bottom 5 defense in the league, maybe bottom 3, because they're atrocious to watch. They're just letting people go out there and do whatever the hell they want to do. I don't know how Kyler Murray and the Cardinals – this is a game that interests me too because I have no idea what we're going to get. They lost to the damn Lions. So
I know.
they look good against, I would say, the worst defense in the league in the Cowboys. But, I mean, I think Kyler Murray completed 9 passes against the Cowboys last week.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have to do much. I mean, Dallas pretty much just gave them that win. But, I mean, just seeing the excitement of a young Kyler Murray who's really fun to watch. And then you got Russ, who is Russ. You got big players. You got Hopkins. You got DK. I mean, I'm not a big Kenyon Drake guy, but, I mean, he showed up against Dallas, who is the worst defense in the league. And, I mean, Chris Carson, who's solid. It's a fun game. I love a good division night game like that. Always get the juice.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, keep it on these games real quick. So you mentioned you're a big spread guy, big gambler guy. Appreciate that. We always appreciate that here on the Nosebleeds. We try to make bets almost every time we record together. I mean, we really do. It's $100 just go like that on here. So, going into week 7, do you have any locks? Get 3 or 4 locks, 2 or 3 locks, whatever the case may be. Going against the spread this week going in?
My number 1 lock of the week. Write it down. Clear your paycheck. Put it all on New England against San Fran at home, -1.5. New England played bad last week. Didn't look good against Denver. You know what they're going to do? Bill Belichick's going to have that team in order. They are going to come out, and they are going to win that game. I mean, it's basically a pick 'em. It's 1.5. Yeah. You don't think they can cover 1.5 at home when Bill Belichick is your head coach after a disappointing loss in Denver? And they always play weird in Denver. Always.
They always have, yeah.
That is my lock of the week. I'm putting it all on that. I'm going to put it in all my parlays, everything. New England this week.
Man, I picked Denver last week. I picked New England last week going against the Patriots. Was they have like 8 points or something?
Yeah, it was rough. They got beat by 6 field goals.
Yeah, I was tough. Brandon McManus MVP. So
yeah, it was a weird game. And also, I love my other lock of the week is Green Bay and Houston. I love Green Bay minus 3.5 here. I think Houston played over their head last week. I think this line should be 7 points. I don't know why it's not. I mean, you had Green Bay who played poorly last week, and then you had Green Bay who played poorly last week, and then you have Houston who played over their heads. I said this line should be 7 points. The fact that it's not, I mean, I love that.
I know. I mean, Vegas just totally discounted everything that the Packers did the first 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
So I got 3.
Let's hear it.
That I feel great about, but I only have one lock. One like absolute.
Hey, no, if you feel great about it, it's a damn lock, all right?
But I feel great. Well, if they're all locked, let's talk lock number 1. It's the game Dallas just talked about. I like Arizona to win outright against Seattle. Throw the spread out. Put it on the money line. I like Arizona to play on fire, a young, inspired team, and I look for Kyler Murray to establish himself as a threat in that division for years to come. In a night game, I love that feature, and it will be a wake-up call that, hey, Seattle, you do have to play some defense. So I like Arizona to win outright in that game.
Yeah, that field in Arizona looks fast at night, man.
Yep, it sure does.
I mean, 3.5 points too, so more than a field goal. I don't know, man. I don't know. I wish I could side with you all on this, but I don't know if I'm all in. Russell Wilson has trouble against a good pass rush because his offensive line's always been garbage. And Chandler Jones out for the season. I don't know. So.
I'm telling you, I like Arizona outright in that game. Seattle's still the top of that division, right? But I look at this game; it has all the makings for a feature for Kyler Murray. So I like
feature Monday night against Dallas. That's my only thing. Are they going to have a little bit of a come down coming off of the Dallas game? I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. But
I just look at it and I feel it. I feel it. Bones.
I agree. If you take them, go money line for sure.
Go money line on Arizona.
Absolutely.
And this is one that a lot of people are going to hate. I like Buffalo to cover 13.5.
No, me too. I love it.
13.5. So many points.
The Jets lost 24-0 to the Dolphins. Listen, Josh Allen, that like Dallas said earlier, they're reeling a little bit. Yeah, sure. Got it. Buffalo is the cream of that division. They are the best team in that division. Josh Allen is my guy. I was high on Josh Allen going into the season. That's why I'm in fantasy football. I let other guys go off the board and collect the talent elsewhere. Granted, that didn't work out, but Josh Allen has so far. I look for them to thrash the New York Jets. I look for them to win by 25.
Yeah,
they're going to blow them out.
It's hard to pick the Jets in any type of spreads. I don't care if it's, if they're plus 25. At this point, watching the Jets, I've lost the Jets, I think almost every week, every fucking week, man. Like, because their spread just keeps getting bigger, and I'm like, all right, they got to, like, pull it together and cover at least 1 week. Like, I think it was against the Dolphins. I think they had, like, 10.5 or 9.5 points or something. I picked them, and that was a mistake. Yeah.
I think I'm going to bet against the Jets until that line goes over 15. That's when I'll start to stay away. Because, I mean, I looked at it earlier today, and it was 13, and I seen the line move to 12.5, and the total's 45. I honestly think Buffalo might cover that alone. I think they could win that game 45-0.
They could. Yeah. They offense. Now, I'm saying that I love them to cover that, and a lot of people are going to see that spread and go, ooh, I don't like that. Listen, you have to be like Justin Gaethje and live without or Jet. They're the team to fear. They're playing Pop Warner football. They're awful. Awful.
They're bad. They're so bad. So.
I do have a lock, an absolute lock, and I got to change my hat for it.
Oh shit.
No.
Oh shit.
In the return of Big Ten football, State Nittany Lions, they will win by more than 6 points against Indiana University. It's a 6-point spread. Indiana is terrible. Penn State will beat that team by 14 points. They will destroy that team. Look.
Yeah. So if you're watching, you can see it. But if you're listening, Mr. Bouvy has placed a Nittany Lion on his damn head. So
right. The Penn State Nittany Lion will shine in this game because they have to, because the very next week they have Ohio State. Yep. They need to get everything in gear fast, and I think all Big Ten teams will have to do that.
6 points is what you said.
6 points the line. That's crazy. Indiana.
These college football games have been all over the place too. Like no one fucking knows what's going to happen. So you've probably made some money if you're a consistent degenerate gambler.
Yeah,
on
I think it's a good week to bet favorites in the Big Ten. I do.
Yeah. I saw that spread and I was like, that is outrageous. It's outrageous because Penn State has legitimate talent. They have a good team. They have a team. Are they better than Ohio State? Absolutely not. I'm changing this hat. Just go back. But are they better than Ohio State? No. Do I think they're better than Michigan? Yeah, I do. Because that team is they're full of – it's a lot of hype with no reward. That's what Michigan is. Yeah. I'm gonna bet against Michigan in every big game this year. Every time they play a top 10 team, I'm gonna bet against Michigan. Yeah. But I will say that 6 points is disrespectful.
Yeah, it feels like it. I don't know. I'm not like a big Penn State. I just feel like James Franklin's such a stooge, in my opinion. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like he came a couple years ago and he was like, "We got to get back to the dominant program we are." I'm like, when the fuck have you been? Like, not for a while. So chill out a little bit.
You've been dominant since you beat Miami in the national championship 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't know. But the spread, a little bit disrespectful. Indiana, another team who has not played. So obviously, I have to agree with you there. So, well, any more locks for the week, NFL college-wise for you two?
Those are my two locks. I'm firing everything on them. I'm putting them in all my parlays. And I actually like Seattle. I hate to go against your picks, Ben, but I like Seattle minus.
I think I got to go Seattle with this one too. I haven't made my official pick for our bet on the Nosebleeds, but I think I will probably roll with Seattle on that one. But I respect.
But listen. I just want to say this: the last time I was on this show, and people went against what I said. Something similar to this, I ran them off the show. Gibby Cheech, where are you at? I ran you off the show.
You have replaced them as co-hosts on a Thursday. So, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
It's funny. All right. Do you guys have any questions for me at all? Anything sports related at all?
Okay, so you're a Rams fan, right?
Oh, big time.
So what's it like to own the best Super Bowl I've ever seen and the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen?
What's it? Did you say own or what?
They own the best.
Oh, okay. You said playing,
I've ever watched in my life. So the Kevin Dyson play, everybody knows
the tackle.
It was fantastic. It's my first real Super Bowl memory.
Mine too.
I remember the Steelers losing to the Cowboys, but that's the first one that sticks out. Great Super Bowl.
Yep. So. After that moment, I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Obviously, I didn't want to be a Bengals fan. I didn't want to be a Titans fan or a Colts fan, which everybody was. And I wanted to be an NFC. I don't know why I wanted to be an NFC fan. I don't know why. There's no logic behind that. And they were in St. Louis at the time. I had Madden 98. I love that video game. And I just loved the team they had. And I was like, oh, cool. They actually won the Super Bowl that year. And I was born in 1993. I'm really young. I was only 6 years old, 5 years old, whatever, math.
Yeah.
But I was playing that video game, and I just remember oh, this is fucking cool. And then they won the Super Bowl, and I just have rode with that team ever since. And obviously the Greatest Show on Turf came through. Love that. I mean, I was a child too, so I didn't really comprehend what was going on at the time.
Right.
But so by the time I was able to comprehend football and sports and understanding what was happening in the sports world, we fucking sucked for about 15 years. And and it wasn't like a good, like a suck. I mean, they were like 2-win seasons, 3-win seasons, 4-win seasons.
Got really bad for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but to your point, obviously, I go back and watch the highlights to that game because I was so young. You don't really comprehend that stuff at that age. Because it was 99 or 2000. I should probably.
I think it was 99. Yeah, but no, it was 2000 because 2001 you lost to the Patriots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, fuck that.
I started the dynasty. Don't worry, we were the first leg of that dynasty, so I'm glad you could join us there.
But yeah, watching the Super Bowl a few years ago with the Rams, I didn't hate it. So the year before that, we went to the playoffs and we won the division in 2017, and we played the Falcons in the division wild card round. And I just had a feel. I was like, man, we're not ready. Jared Goff's not ready. This team is just not ready, and we lost to the Falcons. And we just stupid turnovers, muffed punts, stuff like that. Going into the Super Bowl, I was just so excited that my level of, like I talked about, that 15, 16 years of just absolute trash. I mean, it's not even like it's not even like the year before the Super Bowl we were or the couple years before we were that good. It was like 0 to all the way. Right. And I was just so excited to be in the Super Bowl that I didn't even care what happened. When we beat the Saints, obviously there was the no call there, but the team has all game.
On that game.
What's that?
That was a tough gambling loss for me. I had money on the Saints.
Well, they had the whole game to win that game, and I will say it was a terrible call. They changed the whole pass interference call because of that play. But I was so happy to be in the Super Bowl. I just kind of knew we were going to lose that game, man.
That's what Belichick does to young coaches, young quarterbacks. I mean, he just had them figured out.
Yeah, and to me, Sean McVay is not the best coach in that division. Kyle Shanahan's a genius.
Kyle Shanahan is great.
Yeah, it's just tough it's tough now looking at those teams. Pete Carroll's obviously great. He's been to a couple Super Bowls. But like I said, I was just so excited to be there. It didn't really matter in the moment. You can ask my wife. It was the best day of my life when we made the Super Bowl. So
before we get too far away from it, I do want to say the Saints complaining about that pass interference. That same season, they got away with one of the most egregious pass interferences I've ever seen against the Steelers. So when they had the no call, I laughed hysterically. That was karma, and I'm all about it.
Yeah. Well, it was a phantom call on Joe Hayden that season. They called Joe Hayden a pass interference in the end zone, and he was 5 feet away from him. I don't know how it got called, and it cost us the game.
Yeah, so I'm so happy it happened. And I actually do have a Rams question for you. So as a Rams fan, because I would be disrespected, has the greatest show on turf kind of been overlooked in what they accomplished because they immediately got surpassed by the New England Patriots? You look at that team, you had Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt, Marshall Falk, you had Kurt Warner.
Ricky Prohl. That team was just loaded on offense. It was, but yeah,
Ezekiel, they had somebody in the slot. I can't remember his name. Ezekiel something. He was fast. But that team, since they did kind of get overshadowed so soon, have they kind of not been given the respect they deserve?
Yes and no. I feel like people still talk about the greatest show on turf to this day. Like they still do. I think it might have something to do with Kurt Warner working for NFL Network and stuff like that. And Kurt Warner going to a Super Bowl in Arizona, in 2000 against you all, right? So I think it's stuck around, but that team, from what I've, obviously, like I said, I was so young at that time, but that team was so good when you looked at it. But at the same time, I'm not going to say that I feel like they've gotten the respect. You mentioned Marshall Falk. He's not even the leading rusher for the Rams. Steven Jackson, yeah. The only fantasy player you would ever take for the Rams, and from the 2010 era. So, I don't know. Yes and no. It's just hard because they still do get brought up in conversation. But it's now they call them the greatest show on turf or surf or whatever it is.
Kurt Warner. I think Kurt Warner getting into the Hall of Fame is vindication for that team. I think that kind of sets them.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I just want us to like get better. I'm not sure if I love Sean McVay. I love because he came in and just turned the program around like that. Jeff Fisher was he's the worst coach who stuck around in his tenure for the amount of time. But I do like Sean McVay, but I'm just a little worried about going forward. I'm not sure how it's going to pan out. Obviously, we could talk about contracts for an hour and a half because that's a whole nother thing, but we are, to put it politely, fucked coming in the next few years. So we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah. Quick correction on me. Earlier I said that this outside linebacker combo the Steelers have is the best since Joey Porter and Lamar Woodley. I meant to say James Harrison.
Okay.
Correct myself real quick before anybody listening tries to bash me. And soon about Pittsburgh. First off, I'll fight you.
Hey, it's okay. We call each other out on here because it's a nosebleed perspective. We have no idea what we're talking about. That's why we started this. Right. So, yeah. Well, all right. Ben, before we close out here, you want to give a plug for your show, a show we've been a part of once and I've listened to. It's a great show. I know, Dallas, you've been a part of that show as well. Yeah. So if you want, let the people know.
That's weird. Are you trying to figure out in this crazy world how to spend your time? Are you trying to look for impactful conversations with real people, not celebrities, real people in real situations? Well, Brass Tacks and Beers, that's the podcast for you. We put out new content every Monday and Thursday. Join us. Like, comment, subscribe. We cover intriguing conversations like who are the top 5 celebrities we can beat in a fight? Things like that. What happens when a puppy gets into marijuana? These are all real hard-hitting questions that need to be answered. And they're answered.
Real people want to hear answered.
Real people. And they're answered on Brass Tacks and Beers.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll put the link down below for your Spotify channel down below so people can, jump on that as well. And I can't thank you guys enough for coming on the show. I appreciate it. If anytime you all want to come on, we can make this a thing on Thursdays or whatever, whatever you guys got going on. So just let me know. But thank you so much, man. I appreciate your perspectives on everything.
Yeah, I love it. All of your money on New England, -1.5. Fire on.
Really uneasy Saturday night, Gaethje by KO.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. New England and Gaethje. Let's go.